All right, welcome to 2024. We are live in Fort Collins again, and we are going to talk about some exciting things. Last week we talked about some of the bad things that were happening, the Windsor deal that was happening, and this week there's some sad news that came out just yesterday. Jay's Beastro is closing. They're closing the doors January 31st. So if you enjoy a lobster mac and cheese, go check them out. They've been around. They've been a staple on Oak Street for so many years. So sad to see them go. If I was reading a Reddit thread, a lot of it's talking about the idea, the reasoning is that possibly rents are too high, and that could be. I don't know, but it's definitely sad to see them go. It's too bad that they're not staying past Valentine's Day. Honestly, it would be a great Valentine's dinner, which if you haven't scheduled anything yet, look to do that. Fort Collins is a growing community, and now reservations are a thing. So make sure to get on that. This week was, man, we got through it. It was a cold 4 days. We've got a van at our house that we use for our family, and we actually just replaced the starter, replaced the battery, but we didn't use it for a few days. Went to start it, and it just was absolutely dead. But that's what happens when you have 4 days in a row of essentially 0 or negative degrees. I mean, we think we got up to like maybe double digits to 10 degrees, but essentially for 4 days, it was freezing. But what was wild was on the first day when it got like to be freezing, sun was shining. It was beautiful. There were some overcast days, but CSU, Poudre School District, Will County RE4 all shut down for that Monday was Martin Luther King Day, and then Tuesday was shut. So it was definitely a cold one, but we're through it. I don't necessarily think we're on the lights at the end of the tunnel necessarily. We still got February to go, but hopefully some warm weather starts coming our way. Lammer County is going to increase its credit that it's giving back to the community from $4.5 million to $5.5 million. A buddy of mine sent that article to me, and I was suggesting that they just are getting too much revenue from the increases that we're going to see on all of our property tax bills that are going to come out at the end of January and the first half of that, which probably your mortgage is you're escrowing, so you don't necessarily have to worry about it. It will be adjusted. You'll see a little bit of an increase, possibly. Well, not necessarily. They're going to have a $50,000 standard deduction and move rates from 6.75 to 6.7%. So you're going to see not as big of an increase as you would have, but definitely an increase. But Lammer County is saying, hey, we need to get some of this money back. We are just too flush with cash is the take that I got on it. Let's see here. And actually this was a cool article. We got developments coming on in Fort Collins. Here are 10 development projects to watch in 2024. And actually I just did a video coming out in a few weeks that are developments shaping Northern Colorado and Fort Collins specifically. Fort Collins Rescue Mission, they're going to start, really focusing in on that location, that build out, planning and zoning. But Old Town, that North Old Town Business District is definitely pushing back against it. They're just, they've done so much infrastructure build out, and they're just afraid that a 200 bed, 24/7 homeless shelter is going to be an issue. Let's see here. Dirt is moving at Hartside Hill, just to the south of us, an affordable kind of townhome, 72 income restricted apartments here just in the southeast side of Fort Collins. Dirt is definitely moving, and that's getting rock and rolling. Montava have final approval for 2 phases this year. Montava is going to be a 25 to 30-year build-out. This thing is going to be basically the size of Windsor, if you're not familiar with it, on the northeast side of town near Budweiser Brewery. And tons of dirt moving there. Phase 1 already rocking and rolling, but they're going to have a ton of infrastructure on that. Turnberry, Mountain View Road. There's going to just be a ton of work that's going on over there. Powerhouse 2. I guess it's stalled as interest rates and construction costs have soared. Kind of a bummer because the Powerhouse 1, it's a state-of-the-art facility kind of right there off of Vine and College. Midtown King Supers will be ready to open. That's pretty exciting. It's gonna have a long build out. They're gone vertical. They're not just digging, they've gone vertical. So cool to see that kind of rocking and rolling. Let's see here. What else? Morningstar transforming Block 23. It's an 18,000 square foot, 4-story building downtown Fort Collins. They're going to have about, I think, 19,000 square feet of commercial, main level commercial. So where Taco John's used to be, you're going to see a state of the art, basically taking a city block right there. But I think it's a mature, geriatric. I don't know. I'm using all the wrong words right now, but all that being said, it's a memory care facility on that corner, and it's going to be a big one. Looks wonderful. It's beautiful. People who are going to be living there are going to be right downtown. No need to drive anywhere. Going to have access to all of those amenities. Let's see here. Other thing, Bloom starts. Bloom is going to be an interesting one. There's going to be affordable for sale single family houses between 900 to 1,400 square feet. There's going to be commercial there. There's going to be attached apartments, townhomes, condos. Let's see, Hartford Homes is the main developer there. So East Mulberry is definitely getting some big beautification along that area. Albertsons is definitely a community center, might come about here in the future on that North College area. Finally, let's see here. What else is going on? Let's see here. All right. Well, we'll skip down to a few things, what's going on this week. Things to take into consideration are there's a ghost tour, a 3-hour guided food tour. It's $80 per person. They have multiple options, but it's limited to 8-person max. It's a 3-hour deal. A ghost tour always happening downtown Fort Collins. Again, what we're talking about is make sure that you're getting your Valentine's dinners scheduled. And this coming Saturday, I think my family's watching it, but maybe not. If you are a dad with a little kids, little girl, make sure that you're exploring what Butterfly Kisses the dance is. I don't think they're booked out, but go to Butterfly Kisses, do some research on it. If you'd like, I could send you a link, so DM me, but we will be going. I'm excited. Again, I don't know, but I think my family's watching, so I don't want to say too much to get anybody too excited. But that being said, we're going next Saturday, not tomorrow, not this Saturday, but next Saturday. So super, super cool. All right, now into City Council. So City Council, they approved, they passed the land use code late last year, 2023. Enough signatures were gathered, nearly 5,000 signatures to refer it back to City Council, which on first reading, they agreed to repeal it. And then second reading formally voted, I believe it was 5-2, to formally repeal the land use code. So now they're back into the work session. And it's definitely an interesting time in Colorado because at a state level, state legislation level, they're trying to pass removing the ability for municipalities to limit occupancy based off of anything other than square footage, I believe it is. And so not this U+2 specifically for Fort Collins could go away this year. Additionally, the state is really pushing to try to make ADUs accessible and allowed across the entire state, which the city of Fort Collins City Council is definitely aware of this. And they're kind of like saying, hey, we've had a lot of pushback on our land use code, specifically around U+2, which is kind of a separate deal. So, but U+2, ADUs and lot sizes. And so City Council is kind of saying, hey, let's pull back some of these things that are of concern, ADUs and duplexes and the NCM, NCL, low residential, low density districts, and let the state kind of be the bad guy. We're going to pass this land use code that essentially allows us to do a lot of the other great things that the land use code was going to do, but remove some of these contentious items and let the state do it. And it was an interesting conversation between Kelly Olson and Emily Francis. As respectful as they were, it definitely, you could tell it was a heated conversation. Kelly Olson is very, very strong on Preserve Fort Collins, and Emily Francis is very, very strong on the land use code, density, housing affordability, trying to work towards that. Melanie Patyandi, I'm going to have to continue to work on that name, the new city council member, took the place of Shirley Peel. It was her first meeting, and it was very clear where she stands on the housing as well. Very pro-density, pro-affordability, pro-land use code. So we've got basically 5 of the 7 city council members that are for the land use code. They're going to pair out or take out some of these pieces that are a little bit contentious and then basically rework it to put it through and then let the state take on the ADUs and the U+2. So it'll be a big year, but essentially the timeline for the new land use code is they're going to try to rework it real quick, take these items out, put it through planning and zoning, get their blessing, pass it through city council, March, April, hopefully final approval in May, give the town its 10 days to possibly, get together again, preserve Fort Collins, and remove it, repeal it, or refer it back to city council. But I think once they remove all these items, it's more or less a nothing burger. Some great things in the land use code, but they definitely took out a ton of the stuff that was going to kind of be a change dynamic. And at that point, it would really take place possibly by June of this year. The occupancy bill is going through the state right now, legislature, and it's just a conversation of the state right now about ADUs, other density conversations. But at the state of the state, Governor Jared Polis was very much he wants his, I think it's like, what, I can't remember the exact phrase he used, but essentially his golden escapade is housing and affordability in the state of Colorado. Other things that happened at city council was the city manager, Kelly DiMartino, who I think does a great job, had her salary approved of, I actually put a poll out there. I'm curious if anyone's watching right now, what they think the salary of our city manager is or should be. She manages over 2,400 employees and multiple utility companies, City Fort Collins Electric, Fort Collins Connections. And I think she's done a great job. She took over for Darren Atterbury a few years ago. She was in kind of a lesser role and moved up to the city manager, and then got voted in from city council to take over that role. But no guesses on what that salary is. $314,000. Now, they come to this number by way of what the HR director looks at: performance, cities of similar size, and job scope and responsibilities. They want to be competitive, and so that basically they can retain the talent that we have here. And again, that's a big conversation. That's a different conversation for another day, is retention of talent in Fort Collins, basically more so from CSU, people who are graduating, and rather than them going back home or to Denver or Boulder, keeping them in Fort Collins, starting businesses, getting employed, and retaining the talent. Well, HR saying, Kelly DiMartino, the talent is here, let's keep her. Salary, $314,000. Big number. Definitely much greater than the median income in Fort Collins, but 2,400 employees. I'm sure there's obviously very much more middle managers, department heads that report to her, but still 2,400 employees under her purview is a big number. That's it for tonight. We appreciate you guys watching, joining in. Let's see here. Oh my God. Oh my goodness. 200 beds for people sleeping outside. That is wonderful. Why not use empty grocery store north? Well, it sounds like that is going to be something's done with that. A community center of some sorts at Albertsons. I think they're using eminent domain to possibly try to acquire that building or contact the ownership of that Albertsons. But yes, I agree with you. And I've also, we've talked about affordable housing, and I've talked about how, there's possibly some school consolidations in specific neighborhoods, and why couldn't we convert some of those into housing or offices or something along those lines. The city already owns that land, the buildings, but the cost that it would take to retrofit some of these places is so absorbent that starting from scratch almost it makes more sense. But that's hard to believe right now because, as we kind of saw earlier, that there's projects stalled out, specifically. Powerhouse 2 stalled out because of interest rates and cost of construction are rising. That's across the way. So no way are we seeing those costs decrease. So I think some creative ideas and thought and planning could be implemented. We are coming to our 15 minutes. I will say good night to Fort Collins. Hopefully we see some warmer weather. Go visit Jay's Beastro. Say goodbye. Thank you for all the great years, and order a lobster mac. Until next time, take care.